Thank you very much. Thank you, Karen and Arthur, as well. So, gentlemen, I'm going to start with a quote from the Digha Nikaya, with the Buddha asking the monks what is right view. And somebody mentioned this morning, well, what would the Buddha do at this time? What's the Buddha's view, if you like? So the Buddha replied with regards to right view, monks, the knowledge about suffering, the knowledge about the origin of suffering, the knowledge about the cessation of suffering, and the knowledge about the way that leads to the cessation of suffering. This, monks, is called the right view. So I think we need to reassess what is right view at this time. And I know when I found out about all this coming back from a solitary retreat, I'd been away, and obviously things had kicked off by the time I got back from my solitary. The centre had closed. I was told I couldn't even go for a coffee by Georgie on the way back, as is my hope. And so yeah, it was like I was kind of thrown from one solitary into another solitary, but in a way it was a kind of preparation, I guess. Little did I know at the time. And I kind of went through a whole load of stages, and I think actually it could be related to the 5 stages of death and dying that Elizabeth Kubler-Ross talks about. And I think I'm going to have a look at that and try and bring that out, those 5 stages a little bit. And then in this short talk, I'll just talk about a 6th stage that she didn't come up with, but I think is appropriate, and I think is the Buddhist response, and hopefully a response, well, I hope we are going to try and manifest ultimately. So the first stage of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's stages is denial, and certainly I had that denial when I came back from solitary, almost like, no way is this happening. I am going to go for a coffee. I did have a bit of a internal struggle, and you know, should I just pop to Nero's on the way back? And then there's anger. Anger comes out. Oh, I can't go to the gym. I can't go to the shops. And then hearing the news and feeling frustrated with the governmental response and what they were doing. So yeah, and of course these things come up, these both denial and anger. They don't stop. It's like it comes and goes, and I'm sure we're all experiencing that. And then there's this whole area of bargaining, and I've certainly in particular noticed my bargaining taking place around my health. So actually I would be on the you know, one of these vulnerable lists, having a health condition, lupus. So yeah, so there is that sort of underlying concern and that underlying fear. But yeah, then I read something like, oh, a vegan, he recovered after a week. And I think, well, maybe I'll be all right, you know, maybe I'll be fine. So I sort of go up and down with that whole, I'll be all right if I caught it. And then there's a little bit of a macho side to me when I'm out for my daily exercise. I think, well, you know, I'll be fine. And perhaps laziness and a carelessness as well that sometimes arises. Yeah, so that's something I need to obviously watch. And then there's that whole area of depression, which she talks about, you know, when something is died or ended, depression comes. And in particular for me, it's around, you know, well, how long is this going to go on for? Unlike Karen and Arthur, I'm sort of I'm feeling a little bit like I've had enough, actually. It feels like I've been locked down for a long time, especially I've been on solitary before. And yeah, in a way, there's this whole idea of normal, and can I return to normal going back to the office? I've been working from home, and yeah, it's quite a lot tougher. I'm having to find a new kind of discipline for working from home. And then ultimately there's the idea of this move towards acceptance. So what does that even look like? An acceptance of the situation. The new normal has been quoted, something like, well, is this it? This is how we're going to be? And then I read something like in the press, oh, this could be another year. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know. But then I reflect about this whole idea of normal. Well, have we been living, you know, are we living in accord with how things really are? And I look around and I see certainly not. You know, we are living in a world that is suffering. People are suffering, and there's a lot of inequality. There's the climate change scenario that we already, before we even started this, we were faced with, and you know, very aware of people suffering all over the world, especially friends and family in India that I'm aware of in particular. So it's like we're not living in normal times, but we never really were, and yet we didn't really see it. So for me, it's like we are being sort of thrown into reality. This is really what is really going on, and actually this is an opportunity that the rug's been pulled under our feet to really see reality. This is it. This is what is life. This is what is going on. So so there's one way of approaching this, I think, as regards to what is this time telling us? In a way, one could even argue, well, what's this virus telling us? What if we sort of listen more deeply? Well, ultimately, I think it's a time to pause to stop our cravings and stop and see what is really going on. Look around. One of the strangest things, isn't it, when you see the streets are so quiet, it's almost like, wow, somebody walked past the house. Or you look up in the sky and it's a blue sky, there's no planes. It's very, very strange times. So it's an opportunity. We can actually go within and settle down within ourselves. And of course, as Buddhists, we've had the training, we've been on retreats, perhaps we've done solitary retreats. And I know kind of what it's like to be like that. I mean, and there are times when I'm bouncing off the walls. So I'm kind of used to the experience of being with myself for longer periods. But deep down, what I know around this time, it's making the most of this actual opportunity. And taking the most of this opportunity to stop and reflect. And we've heard from the other guys about that opportunity to reflect more deeply, perhaps on the three lakshanas in particular, and impermanence, insubstantiality, dukkha. So it is an opportunity. And then watching when frustration, anxiety, boredom arise, as they inevitably do. So what I've been doing in my own sort of practice with my own time, and things that are positive, I've certainly been doing a lot more metta practice, which I found invaluable at this time. So I did metta every day, I think for the first 3 weeks, well, actually since solitary, so maybe 4 weeks, on a daily basis, which isn't my preferred practice, but I've just found that really, really helpful, both for myself and also that connection with others. I've been shopping locally and been visiting our local community garden and seeing my veg being picked by hand and handed over to a table, and then I have to go over to the table to pick it up. But that's been quite a joy, actually, to really connect with my local shops and local growing, cooking more from scratch. I'm staying more connected, as Cameron and Arthur mentioned, about with friends, family. In particular, I'm very aware of my brother in Peru, who's having a very tough time. The government have really locked down in Peru, so connecting more with him. I've been doing a lot more yoga, which I really enjoyed the 30 days of yoga. So I think I'm on day 16 today. Georgie and I have started running, couch to 5K. So I'm feeling the effects of my run yesterday. I'm not sleeping so well at this time. I'm finding my mental states, as Srinaga mentioned, a lot tougher. I'm waking up with an underlying anxiety about the situation, so I'm doing more yoga nidra, practice, which I'm finding really helpful. And of course, I've got the support of my chapter who are all here, and all the classes that the Buddhist Centre are offering at this time. And I urge you to take advantage of that. I mean, wow, what an opportunity to continue practicing with each other. You don't even need to leave the comfort of your own house. In fact, you don't even need to leave the comfort of your own bedroom if you don't want to. Not that I've done any classes from my bedroom, I hasten to add. And lastly, what I really want to say, and what I think is the sixth stage that Elizabeth Kubler-Ross obviously wouldn't really know about, is the bodhicitta practice. So, the bodhicitta practice I've been doing each week with the order, and actually today was fantastic. There were almost 300 order members practicing all over the world, from India to Australia, New Zealand. And the essence of the practice, in a nutshell, really, is just taking in the suffering of the world and then breathing out, purifying that with love, with light, or imagining alleviating the suffering, not on an individual basis, of course not, but with the powers of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. And I had a strange experience today. You know, I've just felt completely surrounded by the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, by the teachers of the past, by Bhante, his teachers. I just felt like we were in the midst of a Buddha field, was my experience, and it just felt like I was just a bit kind of receptive to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So it really did feel like it wasn't me doing anything. I was just being fully open and receptive to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, as me, or whoever I am, as it were, taking in the suffering and transforming that into light and alleviating the suffering. And I think when we do these kind of practices, whether it be metta, the bodhicitta practice, any practice of compassion, we feel connected. And I think actually this is actually the most important thing at this time, is to be connected with others, with the world, and respond with compassion. And I think actually this is the Buddha's response, is one of compassion. This is how the Buddha would respond in this position, with compassion. Many years ago, in fact, before I came across the Buddhist Centre, I can't remember what I was reading, but I came across the Bodhisattva vows, and they completely blew me away, and I completely resonated with them. I mean, this is long before I was a Buddhist. And I remember reading these vows and taking them on in a way, just saying, this is what life's about. And I'm going to finish with the 4 vows, but maybe this is an opportunity just to really, I think somebody else has said it this morning as well, what is life about? What are we about? And how are we going to use our time? This is an opportunity now to look at our lives and then look at how we're going to, we can start from where we are, can't we? And see how we want to continue, however long we've got, we don't know, to practice more deeply and make the most of our time, make the most of this precious opportunity. So I'm going to finish with the 4 great vows. They're succinct, they're pragmatic, and they are the articulation of the bodhicitta, the arising of the heart mind of enlightenment for the benefit of all. So the vows are as follows. Beings are numberless, may I free them all. Reactions are endless, may I release them all. Doors to experience are infinite, may I enter them all. Ways of awakening are limitless, may I know them all. So thank you very much, everybody.